sometimes the most unforgettable journeys don't involve explosions, car chases, or epic battles. Sometimes they begin in a will reading, with a Buick convertible, a mysterious inheritance, and a brother you never knew you had. When Rain Man hit theaters in 1988, nobody expected it to take over the box office, let alone win 4 Academy Awards. It had no flashy effects, no massive marketing machine, just 2 men, a road trip, and a connection that unfolded one awkward moment at a time. But what started as a quiet character drama became something more, a cultural phenomenon, the kind of film that didn't just entertain. It changed the way people thought about autism, family, and even Tom Cruise. And here's the kicker. It almost didn't happen at all. The script floated through Hollywood for years. Directors came and went, actors dropped out. Dustin Hoffman himself said the story was a mess. Nobody could quite figure out the tone. Was it a comedy, a drama, a tragedy, a buddy film? The answer, somehow, was all of the above. But then, against all odds, something clicked. And from the chaos emerged a film so honest, so vulnerable, and so unexpected that it carved its name into cinema history. This is the story behind Rain Man, a movie that was built on improvisation, uncertainty, and trust. A movie that changed careers, rewrote stereotypes, and left behind a legacy as complex and fascinating as the brothers at its heart. Let's take the highway back to 1988 and uncover the strange, beautiful, and downright weird truths behind the film that made Definitely Wapner a household phrase. When Charlie Babbitt storms into his father's funeral in Rain Man, you can already feel the tension boiling under the surface. He's not there for closure, he's there for answers, or more specifically, for the money. What he doesn't expect is a name he's never heard, Raymond, a brother tucked away in an institution, completely removed from Charlie's world of fast cars and shallow deals. That reveal wasn't just shocking to Charlie, it was almost never filmed at all. The original script went through nearly 30 rewrites. At one point, it was even envisioned as a buddy comedy, but then Dustin Hoffman stepped in. He was originally supposed to play Charlie, the slick, impatient younger brother, but something didn't sit right. After reading the role of Raymond, the older, autistic savant with a photographic memory and a strict routine, Hoffman told director Barry Levinson, "I think I need to play this guy." And that decision changed everything. Hoffman's preparation was obsessive. He spent over a year visiting mental institutions, working closely with real individuals on the autism spectrum. One of them, a man named Kim Peek, could memorize entire phone books, and his personality became the backbone of Raymond Babbitt. Hoffman even insisted that Raymond avoid eye contact, stick to his routines, and speak in repetitive, rhythmic patterns. It wasn't just performance, it was transformation. Tom Cruise, meanwhile, was at a crossroads in his career. Up until then, he was the poster boy for charming rebellion, Top Gun, risky business, the fast-talking heartthrob. But Rain Man demanded something different, restraint. He had to play the guy who doesn't get the attention, the straight man, the frustrated brother whose arc wasn't flashy but deeply emotional. It was Cruise who pushed for more emotional nuance in his scenes, even rewriting some dialogue with Hoffman to make it feel less theatrical and more lived in. He wanted Charlie to feel real, not just as a foil to Raymond, but as a man unraveling in slow motion. Cruise wasn't afraid to show ugliness either, his anger, his selfishness, his confusion. But he also fought for the film to show Charlie's growth with subtlety, not with grand gestures, but with the way he learns to wait before speaking, or the way he finally listens. And then there was the car, that vintage 1949 Buick Roadmaster they drive across America, not just a prop. That belonged to Barry Levinson's own father. They used it because Hoffman loved the way the car felt, the smoothness of the bench seat, the curve of the dashboard. By the end of filming, Cruise had bonded with it so much that Levinson gifted him the car after the shoot wrapped. It wasn't just the vehicle for the road trip, it became a character in itself, a moving confession booth, a place where silences said more than dialogue, where the distance between two brothers gradually shrank mile by mile. The Buick absorbed their fights, their laughter, their learning curve, and in the process, it became one of the most quietly iconic screen cars of all time. Everything in Rain Man, from the casting changes to the car itself, seemed accidental at first, but looking back, it all clicked into place like it was meant to be. The script evolved, the actors evolved, even the story itself seemed to evolve during filming. It was chaos on paper, but harmony in motion. A movie that didn't try to impress, it just tried to understand. And in doing that, it became something rare. A film that doesn't just tell a story, it builds a relationship with its characters, with its audience, and with something deeper that lingers long after the credits roll. The magic of Rain Man doesn't just come from the characters, it lives in the little moments. Like when Raymond refuses to fly because of airline safety records. Qantas is the only airline he trusts. That scene, which now gets a laugh and a nod from savvy viewers, actually caused a real-world ripple. After the film's release, Qantas received a surge in positive press and bookings. They even used the line in promotional material for years. It's ironic, considering the writers never asked for permission to name-drop the airline in the first place. But that wasn't the only time real-life details slipped into the script. Raymond's habit of counting cards in Las Vegas, for instance, was inspired by real savants. What the filmmakers didn't anticipate was the response from the casino industry. After the movie came out, security protocols at blackjack tables were quietly updated because people started trying to Rain Man the system, even though, in reality, very few could replicate what Raymond did without getting escorted out. The scenes in Vegas, though, they were shot on location at Caesar's Palace, and Hoffman, ever the perfectionist, stayed in character between takes. One dealer reported that Hoffman, as Raymond, would repeat his lines even after the camera stopped. He'd keep tapping the table, mumbling numbers, staring into space. Tourists didn't know whether to ask for an autograph or call someone for help. And then there's that classic moment in the diner. Maple syrup is supposed to be on the table before the pancakes. It wasn't just a quirky line. It was based on a real event Hoffman witnessed during his research. He saw a man become completely overwhelmed when his breakfast routine was interrupted. That attention to behavioral detail gave Rain Man its edge. Every line, no matter how odd, came from something honest. It was never mocked, it was observant. The brilliance of that scene wasn't in the comedy, but in how it revealed character through tension so small it might go unnoticed by anyone else. Hoffman knew it wasn't about creating a performance. It was about vanishing into someone else's rules, rituals, and rhythms. And the camera never blinked. It just let Raymond be Raymond, uncomfortable pauses and all. What most people don't realize is that Hoffman doubted the film would work. On the final day of shooting, he reportedly turned to Barry Levinson and said, "This is going to ruin both our careers." He thought the story was too strange, too quiet, too risky. There were no dramatic courtroom scenes, no sweeping romantic arcs, no soaring musical swells, just two men in a car, learning how to sit in silence. But Levinson believed in it. He believed in Hoffman's performance, in Cruise's restraint, and in a story that didn't rely on explosions or grand speeches, just connection. And Cruise, often dismissed at the time as a pretty face, brought a slow-burning vulnerability that grounded the film. The more he softened, the more the film found its heart. By the time he helps Raymond put on a new pair of underwear in a department store fitting room, the film had become something much more than the sum of its scenes. And in the end, that's what Rain Man was. Not a film about autism or counting cards or road trips, but about connection. The kind that sneaks up on you moment by moment until you're sitting in the dark with tears in your eyes and you're not even sure when they started. There's a moment near the end of Rain Man, subtle, almost throwaway, where Raymond gently rocks in place while the train whistles in the distance. It's quiet. No music, no dialogue, just motion and breath. That wasn't in the original script. It came from Dustin Hoffman himself, who asked to reshoot the goodbye scene because he felt it lacked something human. So they went back late in the shoot and let him move the way Raymond would naturally calm himself. That tiny moment, unnoticed by many, became the emotional release of the entire film. What's even more surprising is that Rain Man wasn't supposed to end that way. In earlier drafts, Charlie was more defiant, even fighting for custody, but Cruise insisted on changing it. He said Charlie needed to let go. That love didn't mean ownership. His instincts were right. That final shot of Charlie standing alone as the train pulls away says everything. Growth doesn't need to be loud. Behind the scenes, though, the film's success was louder than anyone expected. It swept the Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Original Screenplay. And yet, few realized that the screenplay had been rewritten over a dozen times. The first drafts were far more comedic, almost lighthearted. It wasn't until Levinson joined the project that the tone shifted. From quirky buddy film to layered character drama, the studio had doubts. Test screenings were met with confused responses. Some viewers didn't understand Raymond's character. Others thought it moved too slowly. But the filmmakers refused to simplify the story. They knew it wouldn't be for everyone, and that was okay. They were making something specific, something fragile, not built for instant applause, but for lasting lasting impact. And through it all, the chemistry between Cruise and Hoffman kept everything grounded. They weren't just acting opposite each other. They were adjusting, challenging, reacting in real time. Hoffman would go off script. Cruise would follow. Scenes evolved naturally. One take bled into the next. They rehearsed endlessly, not to get it right, but to get it real. Cruise learned to wait, to pause, to let silence do the talking. And Hoffman, in turn, trusted Cruise more with each scene. The Wapner speech? That wasn't planned. Hoffman improvised it after watching hours of courtroom television in character. The toothpick counting scene? It was shot in one take. No cuts, no resets. Because Hoffman locked into it so deeply. Even the way Raymond walked, with short steps and his hands curled inward, was something Hoffman developed from weeks of observing. The film's legacy today feels effortless, but it wasn't. It was the product of chaos, rewrites, doubt, and two actors stepping far outside their comfort zones. The Buick Roadmaster, the syrup, the cards, all of it mattered. But what mattered most was the quiet stuff, the spaces between lines, the silences in the car, the reach across the seat, the slow realization that love doesn't always look the way we expect it to. Because Rain Man wasn't trying to be perfect, it just tried to be honest, and in doing so, it became unforgettable.